Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We're lucky to have. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Very fortunate to have Dr. Saleem Khanani here with us today for our pre-iftar weekend khatiras from ICB Wayland. Today's topic is deliverance from the hellfire. Dr. Khanani.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Innal hamdalillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa na'udhu bihi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illallahu wahdahu la sharika lahu wa nashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ramadan Kareem to everyone. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it the best month of our lives so far and give us many, many more months of Ramadan to come to worship Him. First of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me to give this talk. It's a topic that is very dear to my heart, and I've given this talk many times before. But this time, the theme is somewhat different. The material is also different. So the topic is Al-Itqum Minan Nar, deliverance from hellfire. So I want to focus on something which has been the subject matter of discussion for philosophers, for intellectuals, for politicians, for people in general. What is success? The Quran also tells us that if we view the world from our worldly eyes, success can mean something different. But if we change our lenses, if we change our glasses and try to look at it from a spiritual perspective, success is something different. So let me first quote from the Quran. It's verse number 14 of Surah Al-Imran. زين للناس حب الشهوات من النساء والبنين والقناطير المقنطرة من الذهب والفضة والخيل المسومة والأنعام والحرث ذلك متاع الحياة الدنيا والله عنده حسن المآب. So if we ask anybody who is growing up in any part of the world, what is your idea of success? You may find something very similar to what this ayah is telling us. The better translation of that would be made alluring for the mankind as the love of worldly desires, such as women. So yes, you want to marry the girl of your dreams, may or may not come true. You may get something better than that. And offspring, children, and heaped up treasures of gold and silver and horses branded to denote their high quality, and cattle. In the parlance of today, it could be having billions of dollars. It could be having stocks in startup companies that if you invest $1,000 today, in 10 years, it will become $1 million. And the Khail al-Musama would be the Ferraris and whatever cars you love. Well, Aname wal Hars, not many people are interested in the cattle, but still the land is the most, you can say, possession that everybody loves to have it. But all of this is Mataul Hayat Dunya. These are simply the possessions of this world. And what is with Allah is the fairest abode. Before we go further, I'd like to quote something from St. Augustine. And St. Augustine, before he became saint, he had a very similar worldly view that is described in this verse from the Quran. And his life was not the life that he would be proud of until he changed. And he wrote a book called Confessions. It's something that's worth reading if you are interested in it. He mentioned something which is very similar to the theme that I'm talking about. So he said, there is an appeal to the eye in beautiful things. So the beautiful things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned here, beautified for men. And he says, in gold and silver and all such, the sense of touch has its own powerful pleasures. And the other senses find qualities in things suited to them. Worldly success has its glory and the power to command and to overcome. So when people are aspiring politicians, people are aspiring military men or whatever profession they want to progress in, it's the idea of being at the top, to have the power to command and to overcome. But in our quest of all these things, we must not depart from you. He's addressing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, O Lord, or deviate from your law, which we can call the Shariat of Islam. This life we live here below has its own attractiveness, grounded in the measure of beauty it has and its harmony with the beauty of all lesser things. So all the things that are mentioned here in this verse are the lesser things that we consider to be of the highest value in this world. The bond of human friendship is admirable, holding many souls as one. Yet in the enjoyment of all such things, we commit sin. In order to have all of this that we collectively call worldly success, invariably we are led to seek pathways that deviate from the right, that lead us to commit the sin. if through immoderate inclination to them, for though they are good, they are of the lowest order of good. Things higher and better are forgotten, even you, even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. O Lord our God, in your truth and your law. These lower things have their delights, but not such as my God has, for he made them all. I've really found this very illuminating. Now, moving on, if you look at success as viewed from a different lens in the light of the Quran, then the first statement is kullu nafsin za'iqatul maut. No matter how much money we have, no matter how healthy we feel, no matter what exercises we do, and think that we will be having longevity, eventually everyone has to die. وَإِنَّمَا تُوَفُّونَ أُجُورَكُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, and you will be paid your dues in full on the day of judgment. And then comes the actual definition of success. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. So whoever is turned away from the hellfire and entered into Jannah has indeed succeeded. If we look at it, the turning away from the hellfire is mentioned before entering into the Jannah. What it means is that in this dunya, it's the hellfire which is surrounded by all kinds of worldly pleasures that seems far more attractive to us. We don't see the fire behind those things. So the first task that we have in this life is to avoid those things that eventually will lead it to the fire. Whereas Jannat, as the hadith mentioned, is kind of surrounded by all sorts of difficulties that nobody wants to go over there. Although once you enter it, you realize what kind of delight it has. That is the real success. And compared with that success, وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا, what is the life of this world? إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ, simply possession of delusion. Everything that we have is a delusion. Not that it is haram. In moderation and with the eye to the hereafter, everything is good. Everything is enjoyable. Now, coming to this month and how can we attain success in this world? How can we avoid first going into the hellfire? So I'll quote a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ that in this special month of Ramadan, the blessed month that we are enjoying, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala releases several people day and night from the hellfire. And during month, every Muslim is privileged to have a prayer that will be responded to by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The hadith is narrated by Ibn Majah. And similar hadiths are also mentioned in Musnad Imam Ahmad, and Imam Al-Bani considers them to be sahih. Now there is a daif hadith, but which is very famous, and it's worth remembering, even though it is daif, it makes sense that the first 10 days of Ramadan are the Ashara of Rahmah, mercy, the middle one, Maghfirah, forgiveness, and the end is the release from hellfire. We cannot really limit Allah's mercy to any particular day, any particular night, or any particular period of 10 days or 30 days. His mercy is limitless. It cannot be bounded by time and space. So that's why, and because of certain defects in the transmission, this hadith is zaif. But it's good to remember that it is in this month that if we do our best, we will qualify for the rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for his maghfirah, and eventually deliver us from the hellfire, which should be our goal. So what actions can save us from the hellfire? Before we go to such actions, let's pause for a moment and look at this month. It's the best of months. It is the best of nights, the most powerful night, the Laylatul Qadr. It has the prescribed days of fasting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not honor any other month out of 12 months in the year. It has the most serene nights of praying, standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it has the blessed mornings of suhoor, where we wake up sacrificing very precious time of our sleep at that particular time and waking up only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Umar radiallahu ta'ala mentions a hadith that should be an eye-opener for us before we go into the further slides in this presentation. He said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam once pointed our attention to a woman who was breastfeeding her child. And then he asked a very profound question. Do you think that this lady who is breastfeeding her child would throw her child into the hellfire? And we said, no, there is no way she can do this thing. And then the Prophet ﷺ said that, by Allah, he is more merciful to his servants than this woman who is breastfeeding her child. So if Allah is so merciful how can he throw us into the hellfire? Which means by default, we are destined to enter into Jannah. We were born in Jannah, in a sense, Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. It is because of what we did, what we forgot, our grandfather forgot that we are here. But the Jannah is still open for us. And in this month, we know from the Hadith that the doors of Jannah are opened and the doors of hellfire are closed. And the most monstrous of devils are chained, allowing us to function as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to function. So the first thing that we have to do is to ask for forgiveness and hold on to the Sunnah. In Surah Al-Anfal, verse number 33, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us this prescription. There are only two things here. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُعَذِّبَهُمْ وَأَنْتَ فِيهِمْ وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ مُعَذِّبَهُمْ وَهُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not punish them as long as you, or Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are in their middle. And Allah will not punish them as long as they continue to ask for istighfar. Now we can ask question at this time. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not physically alive right now, but what can we do to make sure that he is in our middle? We'll move on, inshallah. So daily istighfar, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned in a very famous hadith narrated by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that wallahi inni la astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayhi fil yawmi aksara min sab'ina marra. That by Allah, I seek forgiveness from Allah and I repent to him more than 70 times in a day. This should be our wadifa, especially in this month of Ramadan. And I've counted it. If you say astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayhi, astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayhi, astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayhi, in 90 seconds, you can mention it 70 times. There are different times at which you can do. Again, there is no limit for time. But again, there are certain moments, certain places which are sanctified by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we make a dua at those particular times or at those particular places, the dua is likely to be accepted. So the timings, there can be many timings, but I'm giving you only a few related to the month of Ramadan. First is between the azan and the iqamah. Now, we all sit down as a family together to break our fast, and many of us have suhoor together as well. So when the azan of Fajr or the azan of Maghrib comes, before we stand up to pray, this is the time, astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. Do it collectively. Teach your children to do it. Do it so that they will imitate you and do it. And make it a regular habit. The next is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Zariyat verses 17 and 18. Kanu qalilan min al-layli ma yahjaun. He's praising those people who sleep very little during the night. Wa bil asharihum yastaghfirun. And they make istighfar at the dawn. So this is the month where we wake up every morning. We don't do it during the rest 11 months of the year. But these 29 or 30 days where we make it a habit to set our alarm, we wake up and we have a time. You know, we can turn on our TV and see what's going on in the world, how the stock market will be behaving today or what it did in China. But 90 seconds of our time or 60 seconds of our time to just simply say, astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. How much precious those moments are. Holding on to the Sunnah, as I mentioned, that the Prophet ﷺ physically is not among us, spiritually he's among us. But how can we revive his Sunnah and hold on to it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Al Imran, verse number 31, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. My translation will be that tell them, O Prophet ﷺ, that if you really claim to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then show it. Love has to be shown. And the way of showing that we really love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fattabi'uni. Do my ittiba. Follow me. Follow in my footsteps. Do as I did. Sleep as I did. Lie down as I did. Walk as I did. Talk as I did. Eat as I did. Drink as I did. And the reward, yuhibbukumullah. Allah will love you. Now go back to the first hadith that I mentioned, that a woman breastfeeding her child. That's a very precious moment. It's a moment of intense love between a feeding child and his mother. The love at its height. If you follow the Prophet ﷺ, it will be the love at its height that Allah will love you. And if Allah loves you, how can He throw you into hellfire? وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. He will forgive your sins. And indeed, He's always forgiving, always merciful. In a hadith which is reported by Sunan Abu Dawud, and Irbad radiallahu ta'ala mentioned, it's a very long hadith. I will just focus on the relevant part of it, in which the Prophet ﷺ said that those of you who will live after me will see a lot of difference of opinion. And this difference of opinion has been going on in the Muslim Ummah from the moment the Prophet ﷺ passed away. So what should we be doing? This is an advice. It's like a wasiyat of him. He said, فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِسُنَّتِي. Keep holding on to my sunnah. وَسُنَّةِ الْخُلَفَاءِ الرَّاشِدِينَ الْمَهْدِيِّينَ وَسُنَّةِ الْخُلَفَاءِ الْمَهْدِيِّينَ الرَّاشِدِينَ, and the sunnah of the rightly guided caliphs. Without trying to raise any controversy, I want to focus on one thing, and this comes from time to time. If you look at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was only one adhan on the day of Jummah. When the Imam came, the adhan will be called. During the lifetime of Usman radiallahu ta'ala, the Muslim, even in Medina, the Muslim population had grown quite bigger. And in other parts of the world, the Muslim empire was expanding. He introduced the first azan, which will be done way before the actual azan, so that people are motivated to give up whatever they were doing and rush to the masjid, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned. وَإِذَا نُودِيَ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمَعَةِ فَاسْعُوا إِلَىٰ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ. So he introduced this azan, which is still going on. It's a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. It's a sunnah of a Khalifa. But from time to time, a new Imam will come and say, oh, no, you don't have to do this. This was only introduced by Usman. We should only do what the Prophet ﷺ did. And I did some research on this, and I found actually something from Imam Bukhari, who said that he was talking about this issue, following the sunnah of a Khalifa is actually doubly rewarded. And the reason is the same hadith, that you are holding on to the sunnah, which is telling you to hold on to the sunnah of the Sahabi, of the Khalifa. So it's actually doubly rewarded to do this. So we all have read a lot about the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Our scholars tell us every day. You can go online, you can watch YouTube videos, you can listen to the talks, and we find out different kinds of sunnah. The problem is that we do not practice all of them. So what I want to tell you is to try and find out an act of sunnah that you have either never done before or you have rarely done. And I focus myself on first. I'm addressing myself first. During the usual days, I do pray, alhamdulillah, the first prayers, but I do not pray when I'm at work. The two or four sunnah before the Zohar and 4 sunnah before Asr, or the 2 nawafil after the sunnah of Maghrib, 3 fard, 2 sunnah, and then 2 nawafil. In this month, I try my best, and may Allah forgive me if I don't do it, that at least during this month, if you're not working, if you don't have enough time, that's different. But if you are at home or if you have time, try to pray the sunnah before Dhuhr and Asr prayer. The sunnah prayer before Dhuhr is muwakkada. The 4 sunnah before Asr are ghair muwakkada. But they also have a reward, and we don't do it. The 2 nawafil after Maghrib, fard, and sunnah. When I was in Pakistan, I belonged to the Hanafi madhab. There was no question of not offering these 2 nawafil. In Isha, we used to offer 17 rakah. After I came here, it came down to 4 fard, 2 sunnah, and 3 witr, 9. So 8 rakahs are gone. I'm not saying it is wrong, but it's the bare minimum. In Ramadan, at least, exceed your own expectations. Go the extra mile, and it doesn't take long to do that. The reward of nawafil is equal to the reward of offering a fard in Ramadan. And the reward of offering a fard is at least 10 times in the month of Ramadan. And beyond that, it is bighair hisab. Allah can give a reward that no one can even count. And this is actually from a hadith narrated by Imam Abu Dawud and Nasai at-Tirmidhi. It's a Sahih hadith that man yuhafizu ala arba'i rakat qabla dhuhr wa arba ba'daha haramallahu ala nar. That whoever guards 4 rakat, sunnah rakat, before the Zohar, before the fard, and 4 afterwards, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the hellfire forbidden on him. Next, crying out of fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A man who wept out of the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shall not enter the fire until the milk returns to the udder. It's actually an Arabic expression signifying an impossibility. and dust in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the smoke of hell shall not come together. So what's the dust in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? One usual explanation is the jihad in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, that's true. The other could simply be walking to the masjid, feeding the dust. That's also a jihad, especially in this day and age, to go to the masjid and offer the congregational prayers, the fard prayer in congregation. Crying, especially when you're reciting the Quran or listening to the Quran. Imam al-Ghazali has a very good chapter about the rights of Quran in his book, Ihya Ulumuddin, in which he mentioned that cry while reciting the Quran, and if you cannot cry, then pretend to cry or make yourself cry. It washes away the grudge in the heart. The next part that I want to talk about is something that I picked up from the Quran, where there are several verses which say, Wallahu la yuhibbu, that Allah does not like. Then there are certain qualities are mentioned. And then there are other verses which Allahu yuhibbu, Allah loves them. So as I mentioned, if you go with the ayah that I mentioned, the first is turning away from the hellfire, and the second is entering into the Jannah. So if you avoid what Allah dislikes, then inshallah we have all avoided the hellfire. And if we do what Allah loves and Allah likes, then inshallah we'll enter the Jannah. Nothing will happen without the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are a lot of these verses, and obviously there is not enough time to go over any of those things. And to the management, please alert me if I'm going over time. But I will focus on a few of these. But some of the verses that I want to mention are, first is, Inna Allah la yuhibbul mu'tadin. Allah does not like people who transgress. Wallahu la yuhibbul fasad. Allah does not like corruption in the world. Wallahu la yuhibbul zalimin. Allah does not like people who do injustice. Inna Allah la yuhibbu man kana mukhtalan fakhura. Allah does not like people who are arrogant and boastful. Wallahu la yuhibbul mufsidin. And Allah does not like people who spread corruption in the world. I want to focus on this concept of fasad and mufsidin. So Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 205, وَإِذَا تَوَلَّى سَعَى فِي الْأَرْضِ لِيُفْسِدَ فِيهَا وَيُهْلِكُ الْحَرْثَ وَالنَّسْلَ وَاللَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْفَسَادَ. The translation is, but whenever he prevails, Allah is showing us a typical person who assumes authority. And we all know that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So this is one example of absolute power, which is given to someone who misuses it. So what does he do? He goes about the earth, spreading corruption and destroying man's tilth and progeny. And Allah does not love corruption. The explanation is, and when they assume authority, they strive to do these things. The destruction of tilth and progeny, hars and nasl, would be synonymous with the then upsetting of family life and consequently of the entire social fabric. A focus on the very little sphere of our daily life. And I saw that with my own eyes when I was growing up in Pakistan. There were certain households where children of my age at that time would be afraid of their father coming home. Their mothers, the wives of that person, would be afraid of their husband coming home. The children will run away and hide somewhere because when the father came, he will be very temperamental. Whatever happened to him during daytime, he will take it out on his wife and on his children. That family life, that very precious time of growing up, where the bond of love becomes established between parents and children, between siblings, between husband and wife, is all destroyed. Because Vaiza Tawalla, when he returned from work in a way, what would he do? So do not make your house a place where people feel uncomfortable from you, from your presence. Be like a person that your family is waiting for you to come home. Your children, your grandchildren run to you. That is life. That's the life that Islam wants us to adopt. And that's the life that should be in the social fabric. There are certain people, when they come to the masjid, everybody will say, oh my God, he's here now. And you know, there are many examples. I will not go into any individual examples, but try to make the family life and the social life in the community as pleasurable as possible so that people are hoping that you will be there in their middle. They love your company. As soon as the mental attitude described above is generally accepted and made the basis of social behavior, it unavoidably results in widespread moral decay and consequently social disintegration. Applied to the world politics in the last 5 years. Look at it from the eyes of Modi, Trump, Boris Johnson, and others. What kind of moral decay and disintegration we are seeing in their society? I'll talk to some people and who say, our children ask us these questions. Is this how the politicians should behave? Is this the people who are aspiring to become the leaders of that country? Is this the kind of language they should use? Is this acceptable in the society? And our society has accepted it, unfortunately. But we should be holding on to our values. So the fasad fil ard can have many, many different connotations, many, many different interpretations. But in linguistically speaking, it's the opposite of salah. For example, you have an iPhone, very new phone. It's supposed to be functioning perfectly. It will not get destroyed unless you destroy it. So salah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this earth in a perfect shape with all the provisions to sustain life for as long as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. Every corruption, every facade that's happened in this world is out of human hands. Read the history and you don't have to tell me this thing. So it's to change something in such a way that it loses its utility and may even become harmful. So creating rift between people, I put this first. There is a very strong narration from Abdullah bin Masud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. People asked him, how did you welcome Ramadan? Which means, how did the Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim ajmain welcome the month of Ramadan? And he said, none of us would dare to welcome Ramadan while holding an iota of grudge against his brother. As soon as the month enters, as soon as the hilal is sighted, before you even go for Taraweeh, before you even have suhoor, before you even fast, wash away any grudge that you have against your brother or friend, something that happened in the previous 11 months or 25 years ago or 50 years ago. Call him, invite him, send him a box of khajur, anything that you can do to wash away any acrimony that may have between you. Creating doubts in the minds of the Muslims. We see this happen in masjid politics, unfortunately. Moral corruption against Allah in any shape and form. Disturbance of public peace. Armed assault, rape and murder, and destruction of the natural environment. This world is crying to be saved. This planet Earth is crying to be saved. We always put these dates that the world will be carbon free by 2030 or 2040 or 2050. And then we look at the actions of those governments. Nothing is happening. The decay is accelerating instead of decelerating. But we Muslims should do anything that we can do to protect the natural environment. Apne hisse ki koi shamma jalaye rakhna. Instead of complaining against the darkness of the night, let's light a candle that we can do. In another social context, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the business dealings that people have. Give therefore full measure and weight in all your dealings, literally as well as metaphorically, and do not deprive people of what is rightfully theirs, and do not spread corruption on the earth after it has been so well ordered. وَلَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ بَعْدَ إِصْلَاحِهَا. I'm focusing on this part because of the environmental issues that we are facing and because of the social and political issues that this world is passing through. Do not diminish to people their things is an expression which applies to physical possessions like forcibly taking away people's things, as well as to moral and social rights, suppressing the right of minorities, suppressing people's rights because of the religion and the culture they have, suppressing the rights of women. It's applicable to unfair and discriminatory treatment of minorities and women. And we Muslims, we have the law given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is a big difference between legality and morality. Morality gets thrown away, but we Muslims have to hold on to our moral values. And at least in our dealings with each other, we should be following the rules of fairness and justice established by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the fasad in the context of severing the ties of relationship and kinship. The Prophet ﷺ has mentioned that Allah created the creations, all the creations. And when he finished from his creations, Ar-Rahm, the womb said, "Oh Allah, at this place, I seek refuge with you from all those who sever the ties of kith and kin." And Allah said, "Yes, won't you be pleased that I will keep good relations with the one who will keep good relations with you? And I will sever the relation with the one who will sever the relations with you." Messenger of Allah ﷺ mentioned, read in the Quran if you wish, the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The statement is, "Fal asaytum in tawallaytum an tufsidu fil ard wa taqatta'u arhamakum." Focus on the connection between the two things, fasad fil ard and severing the rights and the ties of relationship. So our aim or our goal or our, you can say, promise, our pledge in this month of what we will be doing in this month and for the rest of the month, try to avoid things which destroy the moral and social fabric of a society, and to maintain the ties of kinship. Call your relatives during this month, call your aunts, your uncles, your parents, your cousins. Have a WhatsApp group of your uncles and aunts and cousins so that you stay connected with each other. Maybe somebody needs help and they are too embarrassed to ask you. Someone might say, cousin, our aunt needs some help. Try to find out from others if anybody in your family needs help. But the mindset of the people who spread corruption is they try to rationalize and legalize anything which they do. The morality doesn't enter here. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ قَالُوا إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُصْلِحُونَ. When it is said to them, do not spread any mischief or corruption in the world, they say, no, 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 no. Our actions are perfectly legal. All we are doing is reformation. أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ هُمُ الْمُفْسِدُونَ وَلَكِنْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. Beware, they are the... can someone mute himself or herself, please? These are the people who are spreading the corruption, but they push morality in their subconscious. They have no conscious awareness of the consequences of their actions, that they will actually come to bite them and their own family. The next part that I want to focus, and maybe we'll stop afterwards because I think the time may be running out, is the concept of israf. وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُسْرِفِينَ. Do not do waste, or do not waste Allah's bounties, for He does not like the wasteful. Another translation will be, do not be spendthrift. Surely He does not love the spendthrifts. And we can look at this verse from several aspects. One would obviously be that if you have the money, use it for the through a proper channel for proper causes. Someone asked me this question when we were having our tafsir halaqah last week. How do you draw the line between extravagance, which is israf, and being miserly or stingy? The Quran actually provides the answers as well. That do not be spendthrift, that you just spend without thinking, and do not be so miserly that you are tying your hands to your neck. So my answer to that was that if you spend the right amount for the right need at the right time, it is economy, it's moderation. If you spend beyond the need, it is israf or extravagance. And if you don't spend at the right time for the right need of the people who depend upon you, who are needy, then you are being stingy. So I think it can be contextualized, it can be individualized. But the things that I want to point out in the context of Ramadan, we do Ramadan iftars, and many times, I've been involved in this, and all of you have been involved. People fill the plates, and at the end, half filled or half empty plates are still lying. Nobody bothers to pick them up. There's food that's gone to waste. I will give you one real anecdote that happened to me personally 3 years ago, actually, before COVID. This was the day of Eid, and in ICW, we serve breakfast like many other massages do. Someone has brought boiled eggs. Myself and one of my very close friends were at the end of the row. So by the time we reached there, all the boiled eggs are gone. Okay. He and I came back, we sat in a row, and right in front of us was a brother in whose plates there were 8 boiled eggs. Well, I felt embarrassed to say anything to him, but my friend went ahead and said, brother, are you going to eat all those 8 eggs? He kind of felt a little embarrassed and gave us 2 eggs. But the question will be that there are resources, there are enough resources to sustain life on this planet, but these resources become concentrated in a few hands. And those few hands do not want to let go. They will buy a Ferrari while they can make do with a Toyota, but they will not donate $10 to the masjid. They will not think about people who are suffering, who are dying, but $10 can make a difference between life and death. But they are quite willing to buy $80,000 car or $100,000 car. Not that it is haram. If you are also doing what is required to do that, and you think that you really need that $80,000 car, that's fine, as long as you're fulfilling your other obligations. Yusuf Ali mentioned that waste not, want not, says the English proverb. Here the same wisdom is preached from a higher motive. The higher motive is actually love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do the right thing, not just because it is the right thing to do, but we do it because this is what Allah wants us to do. So see what magnificent means Allah provides in nature for the sustenance of all his creatures, because he loves them all. So by depriving somebody, you are actually depriving someone that Allah loves as much as he loves you. How will Allah love you? We have to ask ourselves this question. So enjoy all of this in moderation and be grateful, but commit no excesses and commit no waste. The two things are the same from different angles of vision. If you take away something from other creatures of Allah, Allah may take it away from you. So defining extravagance and miserliness, I've already mentioned this. So next will be, if I have enough time, I will just quickly run through it maybe in the next 5 minutes or so. What are the deeds that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves that we should be doing in this month? Definitely throughout our life, but we should make a habit. The first is spend in the cause of Allah. And do not let your own hands throw you into destruction by withholding. It's actually a manifestation of shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that when Allah gives you, A'malu ala Dawood shukra. O progeny of Dawood, show your gratitude by action. So our action is to share what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us and do good, for Allah certainly loves the good doers, the muhsinin, the people who excel. Inna Allah yuhibbut tawabin wa yuhibbul mutatahhirin. Verily Allah loves those who turn to him in repentance. And as I mentioned, istighfar and tawbah between azan and iqama, at the time of suhoor, at the time you break your fast, when you are driving in your car to the masjid, back from the masjid, make it a habit. It takes 60 to 70 seconds to do this. And he loves those who keep themselves pure. Purity is highly emphasized in Islam. And it is mutatahharin, which is from bab tatahhur, tafa'ul, tatahhur. It's not just physical purity, it's mental purity as well, spiritual purity as well. Having the right thoughts. So first is to honor our trust, our commitments, our contracts, whether written or unwritten, whether implied or explicit. We have to fulfill those trusts that we have and to be God conscious all the time. And I would encourage all of you to read Surah Al-Ma'idah, where the word Wattaqullah actually comes 16 times. In the context of fulfilling our obligations to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be mindful of God. When you are faced with a situation, your behavior should be the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves, and not the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not love, which makes a huge difference between going to the right or to the left. Patience, wallahu yuhibbu sabirin. And the concept of sabr in Islam is not a passive concept, it's an active concept. If you're faced with a difficult situation, do not just keep your fingers crossed and sit at home. Be patient. Don't lose control of yourself, but do something. And there are different definitions of sabr, different aspects of sabr. The first is sabr alal bala. When you're facing a difficulty, do not get angry, do not get upset, do not lose your faith. Why did it happen to me? Does Allah not love me? My neighbor is enjoying, why am I suffering? This should not be the attitude, it's against sabr. Second, sabr ala ni'am. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you something, share it with others. That's patience. It will not diminish. Allah's ni'mah will never diminish if you share it with others. As the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned, that zakah, sadaqah never diminishes by spending. It actually leads to an increase in it. And if you want that ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to stay with you, offer gratefulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't transgress and don't be arrogant that you acquired it. We recently finished Surah Al-Qasas, where the story of Qarun was mentioned, the richest man at that time. And he was given sincere advice by people, but there were other people who turned his mind away. Some people are born crazy and their admirers make them even more crazy. So be aware of the company that you keep. Then sabr ala ta'am, which means waking up for suhoor, making wudu with the cold water, walking to the masjid or driving to the masjid to offer fajr prayer. And it is also al-muhafizatu wa dawamu alayha, being consistent. As the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned, that any action, however little it is, if it is done consistently, it is loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And sabr alal ma'asi, holding ourselves against committing any sin, any of those things that I mentioned from earlier verses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not love. Fair judgment, and I think that I will probably end at this point because otherwise I might be going over time, which is extremely important, and this is how we deal with each other, starting from our family, our society, our workplace. If you are in a position of authority, you are a boss, you are a manager. In the community, we are a leader of the community. If you are a senator, a congressman, a representative, or even at the highest level of government, or a judge. وَإِنْ حَكَمْتَ فَحْكُمْ بَيْنَهُمْ بِالْقِسْطِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُقْسِطِينَ. But if you act as a judge, and we all act as a judge every day in our life in one capacity or the other. كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ. All of you are shepherds, and all of you are held accountable before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The judge between them with fairness. For Allah loves those who judge with fairness. And the other verses of Quran mention, even if it's against your own self, against your parents, against your children, against your friends, against your bosses, whoever, justice must be maintained on the basis of the ethical laws revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not in accordance with our personal arbitrary likes or dislikes. Equal treatment of everyone, including your children. Look at the story of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, we are all human beings. One child may be dearer to us than another, but equal treatment is all that is required, from family to society to government to the entire world. And sincerity. Everything that we do to avoid displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or to win the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to be done through sincerity. I want to end with one definition of taqwa that is given by a mystic. I don't even know the name. I just read somewhere. He said, there is one taqwa that people do not find any fault in your speech. When we are talking to people, there should not be anything objectionable in your speech. There should be nothing offensive, which is the taqwa in public. The second is when you do your ibadat, the angels are writing. So the angels should not find any deficiency in what you did, which means acting according to the sunnah. When you pray according to the way the Prophet ﷺ prayed. But at the higher level of taqwa, that Allah should not find any defect in your heart, that you did those actions just to show off. Because only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the state of our hearts, what is hidden from everybody else, what is sometimes hidden from our own eyes, our own consciousness, is known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned that if anybody comes on the day of resurrection who said, La ilaha illallah, only seeking the Allah's pleasure, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the hellfire forbidden for him. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for myself and for all of you, on behalf of you and everybody in our family and your family, that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this month a month of true blessing, true mercy, true forgiveness from Him for all of us. May He forgive everything that we have done before in our life. May He give us the ability to worship Him as much as we can and multiple our rewards بغير حساب. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولذكر الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Dr. Khanani, that was an absolutely beautiful reminder, and what an opportune time to do it in the first 10 days of Ramadan. If there are any questions, we'll hold for a few seconds. Otherwise, we'll end the session. All right, Dr. Khanani, thank you so much for a beautiful reminder. Inshallah, we pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we can adhere to some of your recommendations.
Thank you so much. See you,
Assalamu
inshallah. See you in the masjid, inshallah.
alaikum.